On a cold morning in February 2020, a silver taxi rolled onto the A52 outside Derby. No sirens. No speeding. Just two brothers up front, quiet, almost bored. In the trunk, holdalls zipped shut. To anyone watching, it looked like the most routine drive in Britain. But inside those bags were 7 kilos of pure cocaine, just a slice of what had already pumped through the veins of a 165 million pound network. At the center of it all was Paldip Mahngar. No criminal record. No flashy profile. Just a quiet man in a plain terraced house who told neighbors he worked in logistics. And in a way he did. Except his supply chain didn't move parcels, it moved bricks. Kilos from Dubai, routed across the UK like freight. No guns. No turf wars. Just cold precision. But on that day the silence broke. So how did a man with no street reputation build one of the UK's most invisible drug empires? And what was the one message that brought the entire machine crashing down? This is the story of the courier system no one saw coming, and the encrypted whisper that exposed it all. Mahngar didn't look like a kingpin. No jewelry. No vacations. He grew up far from glamour. A man more familiar with spreadsheets than street fights, he understood scale, not risk. Formerly described by those who knew him as calculated and obsessively neat, Mahngar treated drug trafficking like logistics management. And in his mind he was just running product. Fast, clean, efficient. Just a 45-year-old living on Willow Close, running a supply chain more disciplined than most Fortune 500s. His job was simple: order bulk cocaine from contacts in Dubai. It came in bricks, not grams. Kilos at a time. He was tied directly into a Dubai-based supply chain, leading members, including Mahngar himself, to meet a contact so reliable they bragged about being on a mil a week in shipments. These weren't casual meetings. They coordinated bulk purchases, sometimes around 100 kilograms at a time, organized transport routes and scheduled logistics down to the hour. The supply line was built not for risky one-off drops, but for consistent high-volume movement that could sustain the demand of Britain's wholesale cocaine market. Dubai wasn't just a meeting spot, it was the front end of an industrial-grade trafficking network. Cocaine was stored there, laundered through coded networks, and moved across borders into the UK. What made the connection so dangerous was how clean it looked. The Dubai link gave the operation a sense of distance and deniability. Mahngar wasn't just a local dealer. He was now plugged into a global stream of supply, with financial flows and encrypted channels tying everything together. That foreign connection made the gang rich. But it also left fingerprints, footprints even, for investigators watching from afar. He used encrypted phones running on encrypted to speak freely, believing the network was beyond reach. But as we'll see later, that illusion of safety would turn into the very crack that shattered everything. To understand how this quiet man could funnel over 100 kilograms of cocaine into the UK without drawing attention, you have to understand who moved it, and how they never made a sound. That job fell to Kajla. He was 41 from Coventry and didn't need weapons or threats. Before the operation, Kajla worked in distribution, handling delivery schedules and fleet coordination for a local firm. It was experience that translated directly to drug logistics. He wasn't flashy, but he was punctual. A stickler for timing and routine, he treated every courier like a cog in a larger machine. He used plants. Kajla designed the entire logistics network. From pickups to drop-offs, every movement of product and cash was timed, mapped, and rehearsed. This wasn't the kind of crew that left things to chance. Couriers were trained like service agents. They had specific scripts, distances, and timings. No two runs were identical, yet none were improvised. Petrol stations, backstreets, side doors of legit-looking properties, everything was designed to look boring. And that was the point. Kajla also collected the money, handed over in holdalls and street corners. He moved it quietly through cabs and rentals. Every pound had a destination. Every delay had a protocol. And behind all of it was the belief that order would keep them invisible. But order doesn't just move product. It has to be tracked. That brings us to the man who logged every penny, every pound, and every payout. Meet Manraj Johal. 32 years old. Lived in Luton. Didn't touch the drugs. Didn't ride with the couriers. His world was numbers. He kept Excel spreadsheets like a corporate accountant, logging everything the gang brought in. He knew who owed what had been sold, and which batch had already paid off. Johal didn't hide behind vague records. He tracked everything in plain figures. No aliases. No fake invoices. Just trust and clean documentation. He even reported updates directly to Dubai-based suppliers through another encrypted phone. His cousin Nimrat Bahia helped bundle the money. When police raided a London apartment, Bahia was caught mid-count with £530,000 laid out, sorted, and labeled. It looked less like a gang operation and more like a financial firm in full swing. But while the cash was being counted and logged, someone had to keep the entire flow moving in Derby, the gang's other major hub. And that's where Manveer Singh stepped in. Singh, also known as Manveer Kak, ran what they called the Derby office. He didn't oversee street-level sales or rough up clients. His role was central to the gang's efficiency. Bundle the cash, assign token numbers, and make sure it got where it needed to go. Each bundle had its own ID, a tag that connected it to a sale, a courier, a timeline. This wasn't just about collecting money. It was about tracing its flow and never losing sight of a single pound. These offices weren't chaotic dens. Police later described them as business-grade facilities. Residential flats acting as banks. Some holding between £1 million and £2 million in one go. Quiet buildings with loud secrets. And yet, for over a year it all worked. Their routes ran through council flats, lockups, and car parks under the cover of night. Holdalls of cash and bricks of cocaine passed through cabs, like the Iqbal brothers' derby-plated taxi that cruised motorways without sirens or flashing lights. To anyone watching, it was just an evening run. But it wasn't. It was a courier system disguised in plain sight. There were no rap videos, no turf wars, just clean rolls, token codes, and routines so ordinary they looked legitimate. For 408 days, it operated without a single leak. Until a message sent in confidence through encrypted was intercepted. And the system built on silence began to scream. The encrypted system was meant to be unbreakable. A secure messaging platform used by criminals across the world. No names. No risks. Just encrypted words and total confidence. But European law enforcement had infiltrated it. Quietly. Carefully. And every message the gang sent, every address, every bundle, every shipment, was logged and passed to UK authorities. It started as a whisper. One intercepted message referenced a drop in Derby. Police followed the trail, cross-referencing it with real-world surveillance. Then came the second clue, a photo shared over encrypted that revealed the interior of a property. Police matched the curtains to a house already on their radar. Even before encrypted gave investigators a front-row seat to the gang's operation, something about them was already raising flags. The East Midlands Special Operations Unit, tasked with monitoring high-level organized crime, had long kept eyes on Derby and Coventry due to a spike in suspected Class A trafficking routes. Mahngar and his associates weren't exactly invisible. There were patterns: couriers driving rentals on repeat routes, unaccounted for cash exchanges in quiet zones, and addresses that came up again and again in surveillance sweeps. Add to that whispers from street-level informants about bulk movement and unusually professional coordination, and the pieces were slowly falling into view. They also noticed something else. The same names were surfacing around vehicle rentals, petrol station meetups, and residential flats acting more like processing hubs than homes. These weren't definitive clues, but they were enough to draw law enforcement into a deeper look. And then came the global context. European law enforcement had been zeroing in on encrypted criminal networks. encrypted was on their radar, and anyone heavily reliant on it became suspect by association. So when the Derby house popped up in connection to an encrypted message, it wasn't new to them. They were already watching. In April 2020, police intercepted a 7-kilogram shipment of cocaine in Derby. It matched messages from encrypted exactly. Days later, they raided Basharat Iqbal's house. Inside, £20,000 in cash and 3 kilograms of cocaine hidden in a wardrobe. The encrypted breach turned a black box into a window. One message included a snapshot taken inside a house, just an ordinary image. But in the corner sat a dog. That same dog was later found during a Derby raid, confirming the location. Another message listed coordinates that matched a previously identified drop zone. And one careless photo showed curtain patterns, which police matched to a known property already under quiet observation. Even the spreadsheets that gang members sent over these phones, down to the penny, became evidence. Messages weren't coded. Buyers, weights, delivery times, all detailed plainly. The silence they counted on became a confession whispered across a secure line now wide open. Investigators could now see inside the entire operation. Orders, buyers, routes, even personal conversations. And then everything accelerated. Targets were flagged. Properties identified. Timelines confirmed. From one message, investigators built a map. From that map they built a case. Raids followed fast. A London apartment gave up more than £500,000 in cash. The buyer network that kept the engine fed. The gang didn't deal in grams, they dealt in bulk. And their buyers weren't street hustlers. They were regional wholesalers moving kilos at a time. One of the most prolific was Michael Kareem, based in Nottingham. He was more than a customer, he was a distributor in his own right. Over the course of the operation, police believe he sourced at least 9 kilos from the network. The money didn't stay quiet. Kareem splurged on 46 luxury cars, 2 high-end apartments, designer fashion and international travel. He spent over £91,000 just on rental flats. The rest went into lavish trips to Vegas and football matches across Europe. Other buyers kept lower profiles, but their orders were no less significant. Joseph Davidson, Kelly Williamson, Mohammed Shafi, and Narinder Palahat each placed kilo-level orders and distributed downstream into their respective zones. They weren't part of a formal hierarchy but each knew their role: buy clean, move fast and never ask where the supply came from. They didn't need to understand the whole system. They just needed it to keep running. And for over a year that's exactly what it did. Tensions were rising. Back in Derby, officers found couriers mid-run. There was no chaos, no violence. Just takedowns by the book. One by one the gang's layers collapsed. From the top-level buyers to the low-key drivers. Every encrypted word they sent became evidence. By the end it wasn't just a bust. It was a dismantling. One courier was stopped with 7 kilos of cocaine in his bag, the exact weight and packaging shown in a photo sent just hours earlier. Another raid yielded £20,000 in a locked tin and 3 kilos stuffed in a wardrobe. In Luton, officers breached a flat mid-count, with bundles of cash still in hand. There were no escapes. No final messages sent. Just arrests, quiet, methodical and final. And when the court sessions opened in 2022, the scale of what had been built, and destroyed, was laid bare. The courtroom in Derby Crown Court was packed. 4 separate trials. Dozens of charges. Prosecutors laid it out clearly: a cocaine distribution operation that ran like an industrial supply chain. The numbers stunned even seasoned officials. Between mid-March and April 2020 alone, the gang pulled in £18.6 million. How did they do it? That 45-day stretch wasn't some lucky window. It was a perfect storm of supply, demand and cold-blooded coordination. At the top, Mahngar had secured a reliable stream of high-purity cocaine from Dubai. And through Kajla's meticulous logistics network, product was hitting the ground in Britain on a near-daily schedule. During that time, Kajla ramped up courier runs, reducing delays and downtime between drops. His routes became tighter, more efficient. Couriers were sometimes running multiple deliveries per day, blending into rush-hour traffic and city noise like ordinary workers. Meanwhile, Singh and the Derby office operated like a round-the-clock distribution hub. Money came in and was bundled almost as fast as the product moved out. They'd shifted their operation into overdrive. And Johal? He logged every pound. His spreadsheets, later recovered, showed that large-scale buyers, wholesalers themselves, were placing repeat orders within days. These weren't street deals. They were bulk transactions. Kilo after kilo at £40,000 a unit or more. On some days, police believe the gang cleared over £500,000. No missed payments. No breaks in movement. Just cocaine in, money out. The system worked like a freight engine with no brakes. And for those 6 weeks it was running full speed. That's more than £400,000 per day. Paldip Mahngar was sentenced to 18 years and 3 months. Kajla 15 years and 3 months. Johal 15 years and 8 months. Singh 13 years. Nimrat Bahia, caught mid-bundling, received 7 years and 1 month. The rest of the gang, from buyers to couriers, added up to 167 years total. But it didn't end in court. Authorities moved to seize the assets next. Under the Proceeds of Crime Act, homes, cars and hidden cash were now targets. Every pound earned through the system was fair game. What began as quiet streets in Derby turned into one of the largest cocaine operations in British history. All because a network trusted too much in silence. They believed they were invisible. That no one could see them. That no one could hear them. But in the end, it wasn't a rival crew or street violence that took them down. It was the very system they thought kept them safe.